Hey, it's Ty Polito from Concierge, and I've provided realtors with campaigns that actually convert. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how cheap leads are actually a scam. All right, so everyone says they want cheap leads. I'm sure you've been pitched by all the social media marketing agencies or the real estate lead gen companies flaunting and showing off their low cost per lead. But here's the thing, cheap leads are usually the most expensive thing you can buy. And I know that may be a little bit confusing at first, but first, we need to talk about what a lead actually is. A lead is not a name, it's not a phone number, it's not a form submission. A real lead is someone who has intent and someone who thinks about making a move, and they're not just browsing or killing time or just opting into things out of curiosity, okay? Attention is cheap for a reason. When you tell Meta, give me the lowest cost per lead possible, the algorithm does exactly that. It finds the people most likely to submit a form and with the least resistance, and trust me, their algorithm is so good at doing that. And that means people click everything, people who fill out forms impulsively, and people who are just curious, bored, and casually browsing. Not people who are ready to buy or sell a home, which obviously the real estate life cycle is probably around 6 months. You know, it's a big decision and a long time frame to fill out to go on with actually selling your home. It's a big next phase and chapter of your life. So when an agent says, I just want cheaper leads, what they're really saying is, I want less leads. But in advertising, cheaper always means lower intent. A $2 lead isn't cheap if it never answers the phone. A $5 lead isn't cheap if it takes 47 follow-ups and still doesn't convert. And a $20 lead can be incredibly cheap if it books appointments and turns into a closing. Even if that lead was $200 and it does that, that's still an insane return on ad spend, right? So most realtors are optimizing for the wrong thing. They're chasing cost per lead instead of cost per opportunity. And a matter of fact, it only benefits the person who's generating the leads to get low quality leads. Like I could just sit here and talk about, oh look, my low cost per lead, like you had so many cost efficient leads, like you should have gotten a closing. But that doesn't benefit you as a realtor. Here's what actually happens with a cheap lead campaign. The ad has to appeal to the widest, least committed audience possible. The message gets watered down, the form gets easier, and the friction disappears. And yeah, Meta gives you cheaper leads, but they're cheaper because the intent is lower. Now, if we look at the other side, higher quality leads usually require more friction, clear positioning, a stronger call out, and a question that makes people think twice before submitting. So, an example of friction, a clear call out could be, this is for serious buyers only, and that's even a lower end one. It would be like, hey, are you looking to downsize a Cape Coral? Are you tired of spending your weekends doing yard work or walking past rooms that you don't even use anymore? Stuff like that. Questions that require thought, as I just said, and positioning that disqualifies the wrong people. So if it's like, let's say upsizing, like, hey, are you expecting a newborn baby and want to move into a $1 million plus home that could fit 5 people? Check out this list of homes. That's specific. Because all the people who can't afford to move into that $1 million home, they're not even going to bother. And the friction filters out people, and that's the point. And yes, you're letting leads go by, but the goal of ads isn't to collect names, it's to create conversations with people who are actually ready. And to get people who are actually ready, you need to niche down. This is why agents say Facebook leads don't work, but they do work only when you stop buying cheap attention and start buying intent. Because, like I said, the most expensive thing you can do in real estate marketing is flood your CRM with people who are never serious in the first place. When you add friction, fewer people opt in. Your cost per lead goes up, and this is why most agents panic when they look for cheap cost per lead. They'll see a $15, $25, even $40 lead and immediately shut it down. But here's a shift you need to make. You don't get paid per lead, you get paid per closing. A $3 lead that never converts is infinitely more expensive than a $30 lead that books an appointment. Or a $2,500 lead that sells their home with you is worth it way more than having 50 leads at $2 cost per lead and they don't answer. The metric that actually matters is not cost per lead, and it's not even measured inside Meta or any advertising platform. It's what happens on the outside. It's cost per opportunity. How many leads turn into conversations? How many conversations turn into appointments? How many appointments turn into clients? Because those are the relationships that mean something, and you can nurture them into closings. When you've talked to a hot lead on the phone who already wants to speak with you, and then they want to meet with you in person because they keep seeing your face everywhere. That's how you convert. So yeah, high intent campaigns look worse at first, but they quietly outperform everything else over time. This is why agents say things like, I got 100 leads and nothing happened. Of course, nothing happened. When you're flooding your pipeline with low quality, tire kicking leads, they're just never ready. They're just curious. Like if you're offering like, oh, see what my home's worth. Obviously someone's going to want to opt in. Like they're just curious, but you need to call them out and push through their pain points and understand, like qualify them. Like, okay, why do you want to sell your house? When do you want to sell your house? Make them fill out a survey, etc. So the best way I can put this in realtor terms, it's like throwing a massive open house for people who just wanted free snacks. Like if you're throwing an open house, I know realtors give cookies out. Like if you're targeting, hey, you like cookies? Like you're just gonna get people to come on by, but it's like, hey, you're looking to sell your home within the next 90 days and make $10,000 extra. And you like cookies? Come on over. Like you got to be able to niche down. So I'm gonna get into Meta's algorithm for a second. It's not stupid. It's pattern based, right? And we all know how good Meta's algorithm is. If you feed it low intent conversions, it learns to find more low intent people. So when agents say my leads keep getting worse, what's really happening is the system is learning from bad signals. And it's a positive feedback loop scientifically, but it's actually like negative because the bad data is converting, and that is what your campaign is optimizing for. And that tells Meta that, okay, like you're getting low cost leads, and it keeps, so it's a positive feedback loop, but it's obviously a negative result. Yeah, because cheap leads, they train the algorithm to keep going cheaper and worse. High intent signals such as appointments, qualified conversations, serious form fills, teaches the system to find out people who are going the extra mile and going out of their way to fill out a 10-question form rather than just name and then their phone number that automatically gets filled in by Meta, and then their email that automatically gets filled by Meta. And yeah, most agents want cheap leads because they don't trust their follow-up system. They're afraid that if leads cost more, they can't afford mistakes. So they hedge by going cheap, but that hedge obviously usually backfires. The most expensive thing in real estate marketing is not high cost per lead. It's wasted time, broken focus, and a pipeline full of people who are never serious. Because not only are you wasting money on people who don't want to talk to you, but you're wasting time, effort, and energy trying to follow up with people who they just want what you're offering. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to sell their home. They're scrolling on the For You page, maybe after work, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll see what my home's worth, right? Or what's my neighbor's home worth? But if your goal is to close deals by intent, even if it costs more upfront, you need to start niching down. You need to start adding more friction, and you need to have this mindset shift of running away from cheap leads because it really doesn't do anything for you outside of the business and outside of the ads manager. But yeah, that's it for this video. I could obviously, if you're interested, I could obviously help you with that, but feel free to ask me any questions. And I'll look forward to making a YouTube video on any questions. So yeah, have a good one.